Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included in the One Duplicant Challenge. In the previous episode we built the petroleum boiler. As promised, I'm already in the process of pumping it out. I also had to make a little adjustment here with the liquid reservoir because it was touching the heavy watt chine plate, and that probably would have resulted in the same error we experienced on the second planetoid. Something else I started doing is leveling out the bottom part here, so we'll have an easier time of pumping this out just like we did on the other side. There's one more addition we have to implement into this contraption, and that is of course the railing. So assuming the auto sweeper here is picking up the stuff, bringing it to the conveyor loader. Now actually looking at this, I might want to take the conveyor loader and put it the other way around. This way we have an easier time of running through all the tiles. Also, the auto sweeper should be able to accomplish that. Now we need to remove these two tiles here. Now let me make sure we are only deconstructing the buildings, and this should give me access. So here goes my conveyor loader, and then we are going out this way through this tile, through that tile, through that tile, and this should be plenty of initial cooling already before we send it to the steam room. Considering these are aluminium tiles, I'm not even sure it's going to be necessary. What happens if we already cool this down below the 200 degrees? Then we would be heating it up again in the steam room. You know, we might want to put this to the test. So instead of sending it to the steam room in order to cool down, we're just gonna drop them and observe the temperature. We can always make our way back inside the steam room if we still need to implement that system. But from my observations, the aluminium tiles, they are pretty much instantly bringing the pieces to temperature. Could also be that this is just an effect of metal on metal, so maybe the igneous rock is not gonna have the same reaction. You know, I wonder, we have a little bit of space here on the top. Why not implement a system to check the temperature? Yeah, I think that might be very well worth it. So we probably first wanna send it down and over. Right here we can then check the temperature. We might want to approach this from the other side so we can preserve the vacuum. Let me cancel that. Instead we're gonna rebuild the tile so we can preserve the vacuum. And then we're simply gonna approach it from this side. This should make it possible to reach everything. Alrighty, I'm back, and it is quite a few cycles later. Unfortunately, I did lose some footage due to corruption. But if I just bring you up to speed, we now achieved a vacuum right here. I cleaned everything up. I also had to redo something here. Let me see. Yeah, I filled this up with oil. So now we have a tiny loop going on with this set to above 50 degrees. If it is above 50 degrees, we will be able to easily cool down the items this way. Now we still want to go ahead and actually complete everything. This includes filling up the cooling loop. We should probably do that first. By the way, now we only have one pump left that is currently taking care of the rest of the water. And oh yes, before I forget, the oil is coming out of the deposit right here, and I already routed it all the way down. So if I connect this right here, it's gonna flow up the petroleum generator. Now the interesting thing you actually missed was a panic situation. My aluminium tile for whatever reason melted down, and I ended up with about 900 degrees in this room, and of course plenty of sour gas. So what I did is exchange this tile with steel as soon as possible, and then I just dumped a whole bunch of water in it until we were better in terms of temperatures. Brought it all the way down to below 400 degrees. But yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. I'm not sure, maybe it just flashed to 600 degrees because aluminium is just absolutely crazy. But yeah, without any further ado, I'm gonna set up a pump here, and I'm just gonna route this to our cooling loop. Oh, something totally important that I forgot to mention is I also made a routing for the transit tube, so I have access to the magma biome, and this here is being pumped out as we speak. That is going to make it quite easy to transport the magma upwards. In the future we can also think about a pumping system if the bottling is just too labor intensive. I'm gonna set the sensor for this one to above 25 degrees. That is a pretty safe number. And here we go, pumping up the water. I'm gonna let this fill up a little bit, and as a matter of fact I'm just gonna fill up the liquid reservoir here. Not completely, but more than 50%. Oh, and by the way, the transit tube access point here turned out to be a pretty valuable addition because I can now access the entirety of the contraption and I don't have to take it apart. Whoops, I totally forgot to deactivate this. Well, my bad. Now we have a pretty full reservoir, but it is not too full just yet. Let's go ahead, connect this again, and the loop may begin. There it is, still going through the aqua tuner because it is 38 degrees, but that is gonna change very dramatically as we can see here. Well, not dramatically, but it is slowly going down. Let's now also test the auto sweeper here. I just want to make sure that I haven't made a mistake here. We're gonna select everything and then activate the power. And yes, indeed, we are getting the items in there. They are cycling, and because they are cold enough, they are exiting. I think I can work with that. Now let's make sure the timing here is large enough. 60 seconds, I'm pretty sure that is gonna be okay. That means we're now ready to hook up the oil pipe. The oil can income, it's gonna go all the way over here, and as soon as it touches this liquid element sensor, then the liquid vent is gonna close. And I want to make sure to do this first, because the last time I had some magma in there, and of course the oil that came down here flashed immediately. Also, this thermo sensor I'm gonna set to above 410 degrees. That turned out to be a pretty good value. So as soon as we go above the 400 degrees right here, this door should open and no more heat is going to be extracted. Here we go, oil is incoming. There's actually more automation we might want to add. For instance, this pump here shall not pump immediately. I want this to be filled up considerably with at least one row. So I'm going to set up a hydrosensor right there. And then also what happens if we get too much of it? We might have to stop the contraption. You know what? I'm gonna add this on the other side. We're gonna sacrifice a ladder and we're gonna do the same thing right here. This is gonna be our choking point. We can then go ahead and send out a signal from the second sensor, and that should go into the same thingamabob. Let me see. Yeah, we can just hook it up to this guy. Also, as you can see, the liquid vent now shut off, so that worked. We already have our first steam going on. Very nice, and we are down to 28 degrees. I'm gonna set the lower sensor to, let's say, yeah, above 500 kilograms should be enough. And this one here, as soon as it touches the liquid above 0 kilograms, we want to send a signal so the liquid vent shuts off either way. And there it is, fixed again. Okay, now we just have a couple of micrograms left here. I think we can actually risk going down. This shouldn't matter too much. Let me just make a save game in case I'm too impatient. But I think we should be able to approach the magma here and maybe set up our first pitcher pump. Okay, here it is, moment of truth. Yeah, I don't see the chlorine getting hot at this low density. So we can safely open this up, except I don't have the skill yet. Oh my gosh. Well, we can take it. We have the morale for it. How wonderful. Our first magma pitcher pump. Let's go to work. Magma is what we want, and we want to enable auto bottle. We're gonna make this a little bit of a priority, but I'm gonna focus so that I don't actually pick up a bottle when it is too late. And we're gonna copy this over to the other one so we can alternate between the two. And we're picking up 400 kilograms. That is doubly as good as I anticipated. And there it goes. Okay. That's nice. I didn't even know the game does that. Oh my gosh. I might want to go ahead and make a little lip right here. We are actually so quick that I'm gonna set up a third bottle emptier. Now let's see, are we gonna pick up 600 kilograms? It looks like it. Look at that, I had no idea. Is this possible with every liquid? I mean, jeez, why did I not know about this? This is so embarrassing. I don't know how many hundreds of hours I have into this game. Yeah, there we go. I mean, I should have known, because the Dupe also picks up 600 kilograms for the science machine. Okay, I tested this a little bit and managed to get up to 4 bottle emptiers filled at the same time, so I'm taking 800 kilograms in one swoop. And I figured maybe we want to take this to the next level, so we can make this accessible as soon as we don't have enough magma anymore. What is not enough? That is a good question, but we might be able to set up a hydrosensor here made out of steel in order to detect how much magma we have in the second tile. And that might actually be a good indication. Right now I'm alternatively filling up 2 bottle emptiers each. This is right now the fastest way to fill it up, because if I use all 4 bottle emptiers at the same time, I'm gonna have some downtime doing something else. But yeah, I made sure to set up the contraption. Right at this point, I'm gonna do one more save game just in case we forgot something. But my intention is to fill up this entire row. And then what I should be able to do is just set the sensor to below 400 degrees, the setting it is supposed to be at, and then 60 seconds later we should have the magma in there. And of course the first magma right here is going to be turned into igneous rock, hopefully not an entire tile, that would be great, but we need to heat up the steel doors first. Yeah, this is actually working quite well. Now I have to make sure that we stop it before the day ends. Like right now, I don't want to go for another bottle. That would be great. Now, if we automate this, we might want to hook it up to a cycle sensor as well, just to ensure that it doesn't open just before bedtime. We can have that cycle sensor right here. Now, how are we going to enter the room conveniently? Because that conductive wire is a little bit in the way. We could exchange this with a joint plate. Yeah, actually, why not? Let's do the heavy watt conductive wire, and we're gonna go down here and down there. Actually, this doesn't need to be steel, just the lower ones. And then a heavy watt joint plate that should have a high enough... Oh, wait, that has an overheat temperature. No, it will just have a melting point, so we should be fine using that. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention we are now also filling up the infinite liquid storage here for our water. And of course we have our oil drop here that is working phenomenally. We already, actually we don't have more than overpressure. But inside the oil stuff we have 2,500 kilograms, which is more than triple of what the oil actually contains usually. There it is, 800 kilograms of magma. Very nice. Now thinking about this, I might want to set up the hydro sensor somewhere else. Yeah, of course. What if we set it up right here to ensure that we have 2 layers of magma at all times? Yeah, it might be a problem. It's not gonna flow that far because it can only flow 10 tiles. So we might want to do it on the lower row, of course using steel. Also steel automation wire for these 2 tiles, and then we can switch to normal wires. And probably I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna set up the cycle sensor right here, and then we need a door mechanized airlock. We could probably go with a pneumatic door. I mean, all I want to achieve is to actually lock it, so the cycle sensor here is out of place. Or can we get an AND gate in there? Sure, we could do something like that. Have our wires join up with you, switch that to steel for the door. This is gonna go up here, and then we can drag a wire all the way along here. That should work out. The only thing is obviously we need to access it in order to build everything. The hydro sensor I'm gonna set to above, let's say 1,500 kilograms. That's what we want to have at least in this tile. Let's maybe do even 1,800. Let me see, what is an entire tile? 1,817. Yeah, that's good. 1,800. And actually, as long as we are below 1,800, then we want to send the green signal. Oh no, I suffered a heat stroke. Oh well. I might actually be interested in one more thing, and that is a duplicate sensor. We could set it up right here just to ensure when I'm in there that it does open up. So we're just also gonna hook this up to the door, and it's gonna open up when my duplicate is in there. I'm gonna go ahead, switch that cycle sensor so it starts to deactivate quite a bit before bedtime. Something along these lines should make it fairly secure so I don't have to really observe it. My duplicate isn't gonna do anything stupid. It is probably time to set up a second pitcher pump. Just want to make sure we gain access to all that juicy magma. Alright, the system already paid off. I would now have brought some more magma just before bedtime. We now have 700 kilograms in here, so still quite a bit to go. The reason I would like to see enough magma in here is because once we drop it, I don't want it to turn into items. I want it to turn into a solidified tile, and we can extract the entirety of the heat. And if we check a tile with 1,800 magma in it, the next one has 1,700, and the one after that 1,500. That should definitely be enough to get a solidified tile. But it's not going to be so much that we actually fill up 2 tiles and waste some of the potential. You know, I just noticed there's still a little bit of a risk. What if we grab the bottle and just in that moment the door closes, then we will drop the bottle wherever. However, the risk is really slim because all we do is go right over here, and it wouldn't be dramatic to drop the bottle there. It would be horrible if we dropped the bottle right in this spot. That wouldn't be great. Okay, well, you look at that. In just a few short cycles, we were able to pump out this entire layer. If we actually make it all the way down here, it's going to be much easier to set up a pump mechanism to then finally automate this as well. But the mechanism right here kicked in, and therefore we should be able to test out the system. Let's freaking do it. All we need to do is set this to below 400 degrees, and then the mechanism should kick in. Let me see. Yeah, this is just gonna count 60 seconds. And then this door should open slowly and this door closes quickly, and therefore, yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, now we have 1,895 kilograms in there. That is actually a little bit too much. So disappointing. So it's still gonna be a little bit more than 1 tile. I might want to change that sensor to 1,500 kilograms. But yeah, let's see that happen. It drops down, and of course now it is more than 1 tile. We want to avoid that in the future. Now let's see that heat up, and as soon as it flashes to 410 degrees, we should be seeing some progress here. Yeah, look at that, it already solidified, and now of course this guy here is not gonna contribute. Well, actually it lowers in temperature a little bit. But yeah, initially I just want to see a little bit more oil so we don't have any accidents with flashing into sour gas, for instance. Now the thermosensor still detects 1,100 degrees until this goes down to 400 degrees, which at the moment it does quickly, but over time when we have a formidable amount of petroleum generated, it's not going to go down as quickly. Okay, I'm happy with the amount of oil we have in there. Now we just need to wait for this to heat up. Looks like we are going to go through at least 1 block here. Now this is 1,300 kilograms. I would like to see a little bit more. So I'm going to put this to, yeah, 1,600 is probably good. So far so good, we're almost down to 400 degrees. The heating power isn't that tremendous anymore. I think it stopped completely at this point. Oh, wait, it started. The RoboMiner started to mine and the auto sweeper already picked up the first items, so they are going through here. Let's check them out. Coming out at 300 degrees and denied. We are capable of picking up everything, that is good. How much time is there? Yeah, not even halfway done here. However, the items aren't cooling quite as quickly, so I'm glad I added this loop. Yeah, there we go. Now they're coming out below 50 degrees. Very nice. How is the temperature looking? 36 degrees. So every time this happens... Oh no, we got once more way too much. You know what? Now I'm going down to 1,500 kilograms. This is the initial conversion. I'm gonna make sure that the thermosensor opens up the door because this is really problematic. Now we're going back to the initial setting. Well, as soon as this calmed down, hopefully we're not gonna have too much problems. But this is why you want the airflow tiles. This would probably result in overpressure. I set the sensor back to 1,500 kilograms. I believe if we just have 1,300 in here and then close the door, a little bit is going to be pushed over to this side and it's going to accumulate, but it should not be more than 1 tile. I want to avoid this extra bit of magma. It looks pretty decent, but I want it to calm down a little bit. For that we have to accumulate enough petroleum in order to fill up the entire road there. Geez, getting this in motion can be a little bit agonizing. Ooh. Especially now because the oil swapped over. However, we are losing much less heat through the tile. This is already good. Now let's just keep this going for a little while and we might just go ahead and actually mop up the oil. But okay, we're making somewhat of a progress here. That's not too bad. I'm just gonna go ahead and empty these petroleum canisters. Wonderful, we have official touchdown. The liquid pump is submerged. Well, not entirely, but I'm taking what we can get. Now we just need to wait a little bit longer in order to get the conversion right, but as soon as we fill this up with enough petroleum, we should get some kind of regularity in the joint. And then afterwards I'm gonna mop this up. What we also should be seeing is a nice color gradient going from a normal temperature of about 25 degrees all the way to almost 400. And of course, as a result, the petroleum here is gonna be nice and cozy, only 40 degrees, which is nice. You know, it really starts to slow down at 410 degrees, so I'm gonna swap that to that number and we are starting to pick things up again. I just wanna witness this one more time. Please, open sesame. Yes. And now we only got 1 tile, which is great. Alrighty, back we are. I went in there once again in order to exchange the aluminium tiles with steel tiles, and I also added 2 temp shift plates. The aluminium tiles were too volatile. They were making the crude oil jump all over the place. So steel is gonna transfer the heat a little bit slower but more steadily, and then I'm distributing it properly using the temp shift plates. This way, when it is necessary, I have a constant flow of materials. Now we are actually at a breaking point here. I need to set this to 405 degrees. And the thermosensor here I set to 450 degrees. Seemed a little bit of a better setting, but we just need to make this jump and then I can convert the oil in one single swoop. Wonderful, this is gonna give us access to nice and chilly petroleum. The cooling phase is still working. And now I just want to see this swap over one more time. What happens if we reach the 450 degrees? Will it work? Yeah, and afterwards we'll have to think about where to actually bring the petroleum. Right now I figured I can just bring it all the way outside here and then maybe attach it to the storage area. Yeah, it looks like at around 500 degrees we cannot actually keep up anymore converting the oil. And this is where we're gonna accumulate probably a second tile. Yeah, there we go. And now it stops. So if we want this to run continuously, I would have to set it to 550 degrees. But I think we're gonna be fine with the waiting periods. We wanna suck out as much heat as possible. And then right now, when it really starts to slow down at 450 degrees, we are mining it away. Come on. Yes, that's exactly what I want to see. Everything is already cleared up. We had plenty of time before the new magma comes in. Now let's just hope this is gonna be a single tile. Yes. Okay, it is actually working. I'm so happy. And now we can continue with the conversion. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it be at this point. I'm pretty happy with the build and I don't think this is gonna be that much of an issue resupplying the magma. Of course, in due time, I also want to test out the pumping. There are various methods you can use to pump up magma. And you can see I just refilled the bottles here. So this sensor should be going above the 500 kilograms here, or the 1500 kilograms, I should say. Yeah, I can totally live with that as a wrapping up point for today's episode. This build actually is pretty nice so far. But yeah, I would say with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Have a great time and see you in the next one. Bye bye.